Hello and welcome to the celebration of the Word for the fifth Sunday in Ordinary Time. This is a very special Sunday. Not only are we celebrating the fifth Sunday in Ordinary Time, we also celebrate what is often called Vocation Sunday. That is, this week we will celebrate our vocation, our calling, or our sense of calling, somewhat of a build from last week's homily. But what even makes even this more special is that we also celebrate our 13th anniversary as a faith community here at Rabbouni. It has been 13 unpredictable, wonderful years. And every year that passes, I say thank you. This is a very, very special place, Rabbouni, because of who we are and how much support we get from the community. I still remember when we started in 2009, we were not expected to last longer than 4 weeks, that this community is going to fold up and be gone. And every year that we are around, I look at it as a gift that God is saying, I give you one more year. So it's year by year, day by day, because it is, it is a tremendous struggle to be in ministry in this fashion. But also, I feel very much like we are part of a miracle. That no matter how difficult it is and almost impossible, the odds of us being a successful faith community outside of Rome are very, very slim. And that we have been around for 13 years, I see therein that we are part of a miracle. And you are the miracle that helps this miracle come about. Without your love, without your support, we would not be here. So I'm eternally grateful to you and to your sacrifice and your contributions towards Rabbouni, to your presence here and to your prayers. It's very interesting how year after year our ministry has changed, and I like what has happened, if there is something to like, during this COVID experience. Our faith community, I think, has come out of this COVID experience a more prayerful community. Father Kevin always puts prayer requests on Facebook, and immediately Facebook is flooded with prayers for somebody who is going through a rough time. So I love our sense of a praying community, and I've often said that. I've been in many parishes. I've said Mass a number of times, and sometimes it was a job to be done. And I've said, and I don't mean to say that in a negative way, but I find myself praying during Mass, and I know that sounds funny, because the mind of a priest sometimes thinks, oh, what's supposed to be done now? What's supposed to be done now? But when I'm here at Mass, I truly pray, and this is a very, very special gift. Now, let's reflect on the scriptures. Let's look into the scriptures to find out what this fifth Sunday in Ordinary Time has to bring to us, and this Vocation Sunday. If you're going to be in church tomorrow, I'm going to make you a little bit uncomfortable, because this is what I'm going to say to those who come tomorrow, and I say to you. Do you think you are the one? Have you ever stood before the mirror and said, yep, I am the one? It is uncomfortable to say that to oneself, I am the one. It is even more uncomfortable to turn to somebody else and say to them, I am the one. What do I mean by that? Oh, I'm the chosen one. It sounds a little pompous, doesn't it? And we struggle with that. Today's scriptures, as we reflect on this fifth Sunday, especially Vocation Sunday, we need to get comfortable with saying that I am the one, against all odds, I am the one whom God has called. I am the one whom God has chosen. I am the one whom God is sending at this point in history to this particular person in this particular situation. And sometimes I don't know what to say, how to say it, but I need to know that I am guided by the hand of God. That you are guided by the hand of God. to be mother, to be father, to be brother, to be sister, to be teacher, to be nurse, to be priest. So let us look into the scriptures. What do you think is the initial response of the men of God and women of God who hear the call of God? Today we read from the prophet Isaiah. And Isaiah, after God calls him, and Isaiah is a wonderful prophet indeed, but after God calls Isaiah, what does he say? He touched my mouth with it and said, see, now that this has touched your lips, your wickedness is removed, your sin purged. Why? Because when God calls Isaiah, Isaiah says to God, no, not me. Find somebody else, because I have unclean lips. He must have some salty language, this Isaiah the prophet. Oh, maybe he did curse up a storm. Maybe his life was not that perfect. But God calls and goes and calls Isaiah to ministry and asks Isaiah to be a prophet. The first response of Isaiah is, great idea. Let's help you find somebody. And God stands in the door and says, no, I have found my somebody. You, Isaiah. He says, oh, no, not me. Why? Because somebody has told me that my life experience excludes me from being in ministry, from being the one. Because of the things that I have done, because of the life that I have lived, or where I find myself, it is so easy for me to disqualify myself. So Isaiah disqualifies himself by saying, oh, my lips are unclean. And God says, okay, we touch them, they'll be blessed. But he's not the only one. I want you to look at Moses. When God calls Moses, does Moses jump up and down and say, yes, I'm the one, I've been called? No, Moses is frightened. So Moses says, I can't go back to Egypt. Not me. Find somebody else. We can go last week. Remember, we looked at the prophet Jeremiah. Jeremiah is called by God. What does he say? Oh, no. Find somebody else. I am too young. There is always an inner voice that will tell you and I, no, not you. Now we go to the gospel passage. Jesus is at the seashore. I love the drama that plays out here for so many reasons. But I will just try to, since this is homily on the go, I'll try to zoom into this theme that we are building. After Jesus performs the great miracle with Peter, James, and John, by having the great catch of fish, most of us think, then Jesus turns to Peter, John, and James and says, follow me. They leave everything and they follow him. They become disciples. That is not the account of Luke. Luke doesn't say that. After Jesus instructs them to catch the great number of fish, the response of Peter is he falls to his knees and said, depart from me, Lord, for I am a sinful person. Peter doesn't say, "Ooh, I've been called, I'm chosen," and runs off into discipleship, into apostleship. No, his first response, at least according to the story as told by St. Luke, is that Peter and the other disciples, after they saw the great miracle of the catch, this is before Jesus calls them, and then Jesus calls them to ministry, to come and become fishers of men. Peter falls down to his knees and says, get away from here. Get away. Just go. But Jesus stands there. Because Jesus is looking at a fully human person who has been told that for them to be involved in ministry, they have to be somewhat special. That their experience of life somewhat disqualifies them because they are fishermen, stinking fishermen, with a very salty mouth, very faulty people, very maybe short-tempered Peter. We know Peter would fly off the handle, right? And so because he looks at him and he takes that human experience and somehow says, well, this disqualifies me. We have a saying back home, God calls, God sustains. So what does this Vocation Sunday mean for you and I, and for us as a faith community as we celebrate this 13th anniversary? God doesn't call you and I because we are great speakers or that we are good at consoling somebody. God looks at our human experience, and it is this very human experience that you and I have. Sometimes our short-temperedness, sometimes our greediness, sometimes our generosity, whatever it is that you bring to the table, good and bad. Eh? This is another topic for another day, the whole thing of good and bad. I consider ourselves, I am a basket of mixed blessings, right? You are a bag of mixed blessings. I know you're a wonderful, saintly person, eh? But you're a little shady sometimes. That's the truth of you. That's your story. And if you stand in the mirror, that's why you, and I'm sorry, I'm saying you, which they tell us never to do in theology, right? But I want to speak directly to you, because sometimes when you sit in the mirror, you disqualify yourself. I disqualify myself because I can see my shadiness, right? It is that which actually qualifies us for ministry. We don't have to be perfect to enter into ministry. We have to be whole. And being whole means accepting the good and the bad in me. In fact, accepting my whole self and bringing myself to God and say, here I am, Lord, I come to do your will. And guess what? God is not choosing you and I because we are the second pick. God chooses you and I because we are the very first pick to reach and touch somebody who is going through a rough time in this real world. There's a theologian of our time, Bernard Lonergan, I think, he has said it more beautifully, that we all have an experience of authority. You know, the authority of the police officers, we have experienced that. We all have experienced the authority of our parents, the authority of the Pope, the authority of our bosses. We all have an experience of our authority. What we usually do not count on is the authority of our experience. Now, I love that. Speak from the authority of your experience. And I encountered this, I think, in a very powerful way when I was in Lebanon, Kentucky, many, many years ago at St. Augustine, when a young woman, and I've told this story many, many times, came to me and said she was so happy she had gone to Gothenburg and gotten married. And she came back and she was ready to tell her priest she got married, and she's sharing this wonderful, beautiful story with me, how she got married. And I looked at her and I said, I cannot give you communion. You went to Gothenburg to get married. Catholics don't get married in the mountains, they get married in a church. You just disqualified yourself. And she looked at me and she said, if only you knew half the story, you would not say that to me. How my ex-husband treated me and how this man loves me, you would not say that to me. And I almost fell to my knees and said, I am so sorry, because in my mind I had theology. She was coming with a life experience of abuse and finding love and respect. And yes, the first marriage was in a wonderful, beautiful church with lights and candles, right? And the second marriage is in the mountains. And in that second marriage, she finally found the one who loved her for who she was, not what she could be, or what some version of what somebody else wanted her to be. And I always remember her when I talk the authority of experience. The authority of our experience is sacred ground. And who am I, as Pope Francis said, who are we to judge the authority of somebody's experience? Nobody has walked the earth like you. And so you can speak from there. Nobody has walked the earth like Peter. And even if he says, get away from me, Lord. Because yes, sometimes maybe he's embarrassed being a fisherman and the things that he has done, how he has cheated the scale or whatever his life story is. But there comes some authenticity with it. So bring everything. Bring the divorce. Bring the short-temperedness. Bring the charm. Bring everything, all of you, to ministry. Then and only then can we truly speak to the hearts of the people, because we don't become phony. You know, many times, I hope not many times, but we fall asleep in church, you know, because it's all heady, and sometimes it's like, what are they talking about? It's like, do you live on my street? Did you fall from the skies? You know, because sometimes maybe we go to theology, you know, we get removed from the life experience of people. But you know what we need more in church? Real people with real issues, leading real people with real issues, showing that there is a way. And this is the beauty of the Rabbouni Catholic community, right? I hope we speak a gospel that you can say, yeah, I can experience that. So today, you are the one. You are the one who was sent to make Rabbouni a reality. You are the one who was sent and called to support this beautiful community. You are the one who has been called and sent to become the prayer of somebody here at Rabbouni. You are the hands of God. You are the eyes of God. You are the mouthpiece of God. And if you have ever doubted yourself or said, not me, think again. We need you. We need a real person to speak to real issues in our time and age, making the scriptures come alive, so that the scriptures cease to be only words on a page. We experience something of an incarnation. These words become life. Welcome to the 5th Sunday in Ordinary Time. Welcome to Vocation Sunday, and welcome to the 13th anniversary of Rabbouni Catholic Community. Thank you for your continued support, and I pray that you support us into the future. Amen. God bless.